Okay, good morning. We'll call the meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Citizens to be heard. Is there anybody out in the audience that wants to speak on something that's not on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to payment of bills and vouchers.
Move approval. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have minutes from May 3rd and 10th that we need approval on.
So moved.
Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Before we get started on this morning's meeting, I just want to comment on attending the meeting last night at the Moorhead City Council Committee of the Whole, and I really want to compliment our people that were there. I mean, Grant was there opening up the presentation, and Brian gave a presentation of what the jail was all about and stuff like that, and what we're going to do, and Kevin gave in financing, and Matt gave on the jail. It was just such a professional job. I was really proud to be part of this unit. You guys did a great job, and thank you so much. Scott was there, Nick was there supporting Bill. I know Ebinger gave a talk too on in support of it. It was just a very professional thing, and it was a great job. Thank you very much. And with that, we'll go on to the presentation of the correctional facility project. Scott and Matt, go ahead.
I think what we'll do is run through a couple different pieces of this. We'll get you updated since it's been about 6 weeks. Run through what's changed on the two facilities since we last met. I'll have Matthew run through the jail portion of it, and then we'll get into the law enforcement, and we can give you some updates from what the committee's been up to.
So with that, I'll jump right in. What we'll start with is a look at the floor plan. This is the correctional facility of the jail building. Since the last time we met, the form of the building really hasn't changed much. We've kind of been working with inside the exterior shell, working out some of the details about where departments are sitting, how housing is going to finalize some different areas for program spaces, kitchens, jail administration. Our big focus right now, what we've done is we've kind of gotten some initial cost estimates, and we're really working to just kind of tighten and rein the plan in a way that really doesn't affect operations or functionality, but just make sure we can squeeze out any additional dollars that just might be in there by bringing down roof heights. I'll jump to a 3D we have here. What we've done is this is an exterior rendering model of the current jail as it sits today. We've looked at some of the exterior shell, where it's appropriate to have precast concrete at the jail facility, bringing in some higher end materials as it relates to the courthouse, cast stone, brick, metal panel, and then switching to a lesser cost precast where we're kind of back of house entrance to the jail. Down in the housing area, which is the two-story section, we're bringing in some bricks and some nicer materials into the precast as it relates to family services and the JDC as they're so close to the building. But what we're doing right now, or what we have done, is really looked at working with the engineers, structural, mechanical, and bringing down the roof height. We were able to reduce the roof by 2 feet, bring down some of the parapets, which saves cost just throughout the entire building. Really focused on making sure we can get you the best building for the most efficient cost and functionality. We've started development also with, in conjunction with this jail facility in regards of the site and the overall, and I'll touch a little bit on that and how it pertains to the jail, and then we'll kind of jump into the law enforcement side. If there's any questions at any time, just feel free to stop me, and I can jump in and out of models, plans, images, anything you'd like. 3 weeks ago, we met with the city engineers, with the county, and we were tasked to take a look at kind of resetting up the master plan, or the site master plan, for what will be the 6-block county campus. What we've done that, and what we've come up with, the courthouse is here just to kind of reference where we are. The jail, this is the current footprint of the jail. You can see it's starting to really get defined and how it sits on the site. We're still working with the power plant, figuring out how to maintain access to that and how to get some parking. But what we're really doing is looking at how the jail is going to sit on the site future housing pods where the existing law enforcement center is, and then also potential long-term parking revisions to clean up some of the existing lots, bring a pedestrian-friendly, is what I guess I keep calling it, but more of a discernible path for someone walking from the north lots down to family services or cutting through the campus. It really will kind of give it a campus feel more than just a city street. And then we can maintain parking. We're in talks with city engineers and some of the county committee staff members to discuss vacations and road closures utility-wise of 9th, 8th, and 10th. We're able to work around those, so we're not thinking we're going to have to really manipulate many utilities other than what is underneath 8th Avenue where the jail's going to be. So that will be modified due to the jail project, but the remaining of the site, the intent is to leave the utilities in place, but there may be discussion to look at vacation to create that 6 kind of city block campus feel, which then frees up some additional parking that's needed within the campus, and how we can look at flow patterns and all of that, treating it as more of a campus as a whole. Since I'm on the site here, I'll just kind of jump into how the rest of it's laid out. The north block of the jail, where the current jail and LEC sits, and the new correctional facility, is dedicated as parking. We've kind of had, that hasn't changed since our original design intent. Leaving a portion of it where some homes have yet, or not yet, but have not become part of the acquisition of the county property. So we're being conscious of that and making sure that we can leave green space, buffering. There is a long-term, if something ever did change, that parking could move into that location as well to create that entire block as a large parking area. Again, that kind of pedestrian-friendly walkway. These are some images of what that can look like. Typically, we just do a nice sidewalk, curbed planter with some vegetation, give some windbreak, a little nicer to look at as you would cut through the campus, and then some green space as you get to the roadway. Law Enforcement Center, this is pretty new in the sense of how it lays out and the form of the building, as we've been working with the Sheriff's Office and the Moorhead PD. We've always had a garage, and we've been trying to figure out best location to place it. Where we have it right now is on the north side of the facility. The 2 north blocks are zoned residential, looking to be rezoned as institutional, and this is essentially the setback for that zoning. So we are to the north of that, but by doing that, that allows squad vehicles, emergency responders to exit their building and then create kind of an intersection, a 4-way stop at 11th, so that they can kind of get out and then just figure out where they need to go from there without having to kind of meander through some of those streets.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Have you been able to talk to Dr. Zimmerman from the city about that? He's expressed some concerns about what it took to facilitate that corner with school crossings. Have you had discussions with him?
We haven't had specific discussions. What I've received information was from the city engineers on potentials to try to reroute some of these roadways to try to kind of connect 9th and 10th. We haven't really gotten into that too much with them. I do know that law enforcement has stated that, you know, if there's major concerns, they can always come out, kind of lights off, and then once they get past that area, they can be conscious of children and other things, and then they can throw on the lights and head out as fast as they need. I think there is some additional conversation we're going to definitely have in that area and along 11th as well.
We also talked about that maybe being just an exit only.
Right.
There.
Thank
So
you.
pretty much just for law enforcement vehicles.
Houston Engineering has a contract with the county, so they're working on the street utilities and infrastructure. So they've been working with the city planners, and that's where most of the stuff's being directed through.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think some of this will modify as we continue as well. But in regards to the law enforcement center, we're now looking at a 2-story law enforcement center proper. And then our entry is to the east, and I'll show you some model images and some exterior views of what this looks like in a minute, and you can kind of see how that relates.
Hey, Matt, while you're on that, we are also looking at the option of vacating 9th Avenue and 10th Street and talking about having them serve more as a driveway, if you, so to speak, if you would. If we did that, we could potentially move the entire law enforcement center in that garage even further south. And it would give us more opportunities to add more parking, because then by having it be a private drive, we can do more diagonal parking like what's out here now on this side of the street. We could do that on both sides of the street, and we could create some more staff parking on 10th Street. So that's being looked at right now too as an alternative. So, because some of your setback things change when it becomes a private drive versus a public roadway.
Yep, very good points. What I'll do is I'll jump into what we have. We've, since last met, really taken a good look at the law enforcement center. I'm gonna jump to the plan. Scott can walk through this a little bit, and then we'll kind of follow up with some exterior renderings, kind of the wow factor.
A couple of things that we really wanted to do is work with the law enforcement is to get more things off of the first floor and move those to the second floor so that we can get more of a two-story building rather than spreading out and utilizing more site area. So we're trying to limit the amount of the footprint so that we can also get more parking on site so that we don't have to keep creating more off on the streets or side areas. So we're trying to work on that. So we've reoriented the building so that we have the front to the east. That was one of the things that we talked about at our last meeting. So we did get that incorporated, and then we have the garage on the north to act as that buffer to the residential. Once you come in the front, one of the things that we're really trying to do is have a common reception area so that everyone coming in goes to that point, and then from there they're diverted wherever they need to go. So, and we wanted all clear sight lines so that the reception person can see who's coming in the facility, also can see down the corridor to the EOC press room and monitor that public area. And then also we moved the investigations excuse me, we moved the investigations to the second level, but we left all of the interview rooms down here. So all of the public will really stay in this front part unless they're escorted beyond that point. Another focus that we've done with the footprint being smaller, we've been able to take out everything that was in the center of the building and get it to the edge. So all of the agencies and departments have exterior windows. Before, you started to see some of the departments such as records and that reception be internalized, and they didn't have natural light. So now those have all pushed to the outside, taking advantage of all the exterior windows that we can get. So just to give you an idea, the colors up here, what those are differentiating on is the orangish color. That's the amount of area for the strictly for the sheriff's department. The areas in blue are police use, and the areas that are in green are the items that are shared. So you see a large portion of this building is in green. Those are all the things that are shared, and as it was pointed out last night, those are all things that that if you split, each agency would still be needing to put some of those things in. So that's where we really consolidate by doing the joint law enforcement. The rest of it is left in white, is really just to show the circulation so that pops out to you. Basically, we have the city records, police, civil, and records, the warrants area. We've got the patrol areas in the back. We've created this main corridor, the staff corridor, and then we've located as many things off of that as we can. So we've got an open stair, an elevator in the central part of the facility, and then we've got the staff restrooms located adjacent. So once you get back in there, you've got patrol. We come down the corridor. We've got all the evidence functions, vehicle evidence processing, and then we head out into the garage. On the second level, I mentioned we moved up the investigations, so we've put them on the outside. So every office in this area has an exterior window, and then we put all of the shared cubicles areas and some of the work rooms and file rooms to the inside of the building. Again, that main spine through there with the common things that they'll use. We've got the staff break room. We split that between floors so we don't have as much staff movement, but also have that on the exterior wall so that they have natural light. And then you see the sheriff's administration in this area, and then the police administration over here. So Again, not everyone, they're off of that main spine, so they're not right on it where the higher traffic is, but still convenient to it. The area up here is set up for the co-ed locker room with gender-neutral shower, toilet facilities as part of that. There's 5 of those so that people can go in there and shower and change and do that. And then we have the fitness area that we have on an outside wall so that there is natural light in that regard also. This main spine that goes through has the ability to connect up. One of the things the committee wants us to look at is structuring the garage area so that it can be vertical. So that would be, there's some internal expansion, this area that we can grow into as we start to add pieces. But we can also, if we need a larger expansion, we can add out over the top of the garage area in the future rather than building out onto the site. So that's the way the plan is set up. You see a lot of it is, this is the 2-story area, and then we have a little bit higher volume. That'll show up on the model when Matt runs through it. And then we just have low roofs on the flanking the 2 sides of it. So it's definitely more consolidated. It's not as spread out, and I think we were able to get, with some of those centralized circulation pieces, I think we were able to get the circulation to the point that we had very few changes actually with the law enforcement. So we're really making some headway now that we're not pushing things from floor to floor, and I think we have a common vision of what we're trying to accomplish on that.
With that, we've got some exterior to show for the first time. These are some exterior renderings we've done of the current law enforcement center. I'll zoom in on a few of these. This would be your view as you come up 11th. Courthouse would be to your left down here. But what we've done is stepped the massing as you get towards 11th to kind of ease the view of the building towards the school, and then also stepped it as you go to the north where the garage is, kind of to ease that view towards the residential. And I'll show in the model in a second. This is where the potential to grow could be, so that eventually might be a 2-story, but we've got landscape vegetation. We've got the central end lobby Scott had mentioned that pops up. It gives some visual interest to the lobby to clearly read as the public lobby, so people don't get confused on staff entry points or exit-only egress areas. We're looking at varied brick depending on kind of mass. Some of it taking into the cues of some of the other lighter yellow bricks on the campus from Family Services, JDC, and then introducing a darker color that our intent is to use similar materials at the jail. So if we pick a color here, we'll probably use that same brick at the jail or vice versa, and then work with all the other materials for the metal panels and some of that. Looking at contrasting metal panel, could be an anodized aluminum similar to the courthouse edition, as you have on the west side. The 2-story mass, this is the view looking kind of from the center of the campus. Courthouse would now be on your right. Entries around this corner, but the 2-story mass, we're somewhat keeping it simple as a form, but adding some elements similar to the courthouse to kind of draw as they relate and look across the roadway from each other with some cast stone. We're still very preliminary, whether it's punch windows, some ribbon windows, all that is somewhat to be determined. But we wanted to get an initial kind of view and look of it. This is the garage as seen from the front of the building. I'll do air quotes on that one. And then this would be the garage on the other side as it relates to the kind of the back of the building with some metal panel at some of the access points for vehicle processing, wash bays, things like that. It might be a little easier to comprehend, but this is kind of a 3D fly around of the form of the building. So if you can envision, this is a city block here, courthouse is down into here, but we essentially have our 2-story mass, our 1-story kind of front piece that steps down, and then our garage to the rear. So when Scott mentions that there's potential for growth, this is in the location where that could be, but that would be a long-term plan. But you can see along 10th, there might be berming and some additional things we haven't quite looked at or modeling, but we're showing to do some good vegetation. The garage is up there, doesn't need windows, so we can get that vegetation right up against the building, which would kind of help screen and be that buffer the city's looking for between these zones. And I'll just do a quick kind of fly around. So this would be kind of your back of house. with all your entrances and exits to the garage, those processing bays, some staff exit, entry, and then egressing for stairs. But you can see here, we really tried to maximize windows, making sure that we could get a great deal of natural light. And then even by lowering this to a single story in front, it allows all those offices to get that natural light on that second level as well. So with that, that's kind of an update on both the status of the jail and the law enforcement center.
Mr. Chairman?
Any questions?
Yeah, these guys did a really good job on this, and really, and I'm going to use some words that Chief Ebbinger said yesterday to the council when we were talking about the law enforcement center, and that was that what we have here is a nice Chevy. We're not building a Cadillac system here, but a nice Chevy. And so with that being said, going back to the jail for a minute, and now that Ben's coming up here, I want to comment too on the significance of us having a construction engineer. Since our last jail construction meeting to this meeting, they were able to do some value engineering. And what you heard today with the ceilings being dropped by 2 feet and all of those things, that was all partially in conjunction with work that was done by construction engineers. We saw where we reduced the cost of the project by about $1.6 million based on construction engineers going through and doing this with the work that they've done in the jail. And I really think it's time that we start talking about including them on the LEC portion too, where they've shown what they can do in terms of saving. And I think, when we originally started on with construction engineers and we hired them for just a certain portion of work on the jail. But I'm telling you, with what we've seen to this point, with what early on, what we've seen them be able to do, I really think sooner rather than later, Brian, and I'm looking at you as our administrator, that we should be trying to come up with some sort of contract that helps them get involved with the LEC.
Yeah, we're going to have it on the next week's agenda.
Oh, very good, very good. All right, then I'll be quiet. But I just did want to.
Took?
Yeah, it's not easy. Somebody's got to talk around here, or we have boring meetings.
I think we told Ben yesterday, too, if he can keep coming up with 1.6 million every time we have a meeting, it'll really help things out. So.
And diminishing returns at some point. Oh, that would be excellent if it's on the next agenda.
So did you want to mention some of the things you worked on the last month and where you were at there?
Yeah, really for the last 3 weeks since our last meeting, we've worked, and I won't take all the credit. Clyde McCarthy, we've spent the time with him to really work on things that aren't going to impact the design. So it's a team effort, as it will be throughout the entire project. I don't know if you want to hit any of the specifics, but I don't know what you did at the beginning.
I think maybe, do you have the list of those value engineering items? Maybe you could pull that up, and because I think we accepted all of them yesterday except the one, correct?
Except for one. So, I mean, some of the big things were just kind of looking at mechanical and electrical design things, deleting penthouses on the roof.
We're looking at these here.
Yeah, you might want to explain what that meant.
So the initial design we had at schematic design had the mechanical units in a penthouse inside a structure on top of the roof. The value of that was about $750,000. Now we're basically taking out that structure, setting mechanical units over each of the different smoke compartments, say the day rooms, spreading them out instead of kind of bunking everything together inside of a structure. So it saves money for all that structure. The second one was removing a tunnel from the building to the power plant, again working with the mechanical designers. They don't feel they need that at this point. We had money in there for it, so that's now gone. The parapet caps, again, is kind of a design feature. The schematic design drawings showed a stone cap on top of the precast walls. Now, instead of that stone, it would just be a sheet metal cap instead, so pretty typical construction, but saves $122,000. I don't know if you hit on the building height, basically kind of shrinking the overall height of all the walls, not only on the exterior, but the interior of the building as well. Pulling height down saves over $500,000. Matt had worked with us to kind of identify areas over in phase 2 to sort of pull the whole building off the curb that was, I guess, surveyed, and it was a little tighter than we were thinking it was going to be initially. So pulled everything kind of 5 feet west, I guess. That saved $140,000 just in building square footage, I guess you'd call it. Changing the chiller to air-cooled number 6 there is just, again, another mechanical thing going through with the engineer. They looked at what was existing in the power plant, basically moving to putting one on the roof and saving $30,000. The generators is kind of a discussion we're still having throughout design. We didn't actually price anything up, but I think the latest the engineers thought we would probably just stick with 2 generators. There's some discussion you might want to look at replacing existing generator over in the power plant, kind of outside of specific to the jail project maybe. So.
And I know Joe was brought up yesterday too, some of the issues about being able to use off-peak for significant savings, for annual savings for us, so that's going to be looked at.
We did look at eliminating the fitness room. Portions of that were deleted in the item number 5 where the 5-foot sliver was cut out. So that's already gone, but to take out the rest of it was another $75,000, which the committee decided they did not want to do for that amount of savings. So at this point,
So it'll be reduced by half again, and so it'll be a much smaller room, but we'll keep something at the jail and still something at law enforcement.
At our meeting yesterday, Julie indicated that they could get by with half of the space that you saw previously on the screen here. So we're gonna, with that, we're gonna even try to be able to pull those walls in that north.
Is this a fitness center for staff or
Yes.
for prisoners?
Staff.
Staff.
yeah.
I know you guys are in the committee and have hashed it out, but they're all part of that law enforcement community. So if we're building one at the law enforcement center, it just would seem natural to have one.
We thought that too, and maybe Brian wants to chime in, but their staff is, their staff feels that they should have one, right?
But the staff isn't responsible for coming up with how we're going to pay for it. So, I think it's important that we address their needs, but a fitness center, I think, is not a make or break. And so if it means that they need to go across the street, that would be my preference.
Then the final one there, number 9, we had included a commercial washer and dryer in the property storage area of the jail. After discussing it with jail staff, they just need more of a residential one in that particular location. The commercial would be over in the big laundry area. This one we can eliminate. And so not needed, saves $23,000 for a washer dryer in that spot. So with that, with all those taken out, we were at $29,349 for the overall construction cost. Again, we talked about putting that $75,000 back in, so $29,425 in round numbers. Beyond that, then we discussed the soft costs for the project too. So we've included in our form here just the design fees, some of the costs we've seen for soil borings, and then the furnishings that we would anticipate needing for the building. At this point, we've just plugged in a 3% number for that, which seems like a pretty good placeholder for what we'd anticipate on a building like this. So there's a few other items that we don't necessarily know the costs as of yet, but we've itemized them out there so you can kind of see things to keep in mind as we move forward for overall project cost, I guess.
You did mention, though, moving further up above the design contingency and the construction contingency, that number you think can
Yes.
come down as well, too.
So this is probably the first, this group has maybe seen some of our pricing on this, but this is our schematic design price. So we're early on in design. There's 2 more go-arounds we'll have with pricing. With each design phase, they give us more information so we can reduce the design contingency. So the next time at DD, it might be at 2.5%, depending on how much information we have. And then when we present the guaranteed maximum price, it'll be reduced down to 0. So that could possibly be moved down to owner contingency if it's not needed in our numbers. So we know there's things that aren't showing up there that we have to cover.
Right.
So it's needed in our numbers. We hope we don't have to use it, but we'll use a portion of it.
But the unknowns at this point, some of them you're thinking they'll fit under those contingencies, right?
I hope so.
So if you scroll up just a little to get that bottom number again, Matt, so that 32 number that you see there, the one thing, the other main thing that's missing from there is the portion of the land acquisition that applies to the jail would be added there. And so, when our finance committee, when we were going through, we were using the number 35 million with land acquisitions involved. And so, as you can see, I think we're pretty close to our target right now, so which is good news.
Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Campbell, too, remember, we were at 188 beds when we first started. Now we're at 208. So, I don't know, I'm using the figure of $100,000 a bed. That's another $2 million just in those 20 extra beds, too. So, and if I may continue, Mr. Chair, in regards to Commissioner Mojo's interest on that has been an interest by several. And in fact, Commissioner Wayland and Commissioner Campbell asked me to visit with the architects about possibly reduction of the training size there, because they were talking about the number of seats that they needed in there, and maybe looking at reducing that somewhat. So there will be further discussion about that.
Yes, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions for the? Well, thanks again for the complete did you have something?
No, just good work. Yeah, it's going very well, so.
Yeah, you've given us a good presentation. It was a good presentation last night and today. Thank you so much for the work you've done so far. It's just looking good.
We're going over to meet on the jail meeting now, right?
Yeah, we're going to meet the rest of the day with Julie and Justin and jail staff.
Before you leave today, we'll have scheduled the next construction meeting.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be right across the hall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There may be more.
Just leave it. Thank you.
I think it closes on the 31st. Morning.
Morning.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Morning. How are you? Thank you. Did you get here? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Ever leave out the box.
Next thing of our agenda is County Engineer Dave Overbo and Eric. Got several things that they're going to go through. I think we're going to start off with the bid opening in 95. Is that first on your list, Eric?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, we got a grading project, County Road 95, and we will have the bid opening now.
Well, to date, we haven't gotten any of our emails from the the electronic portion on this. So the way we did it was contractor could provide a paper bid, and we've got 7 of those, so that's good. We don't have any emails showing that we have any electronic ones. So Mandy at our office is currently looking into that just to make sure there's not something caught in a firewall or some kind of a glitch. If there is some sort of a glitch, we think the meeting will run till 10 o'clock. We may have to come back in and do an electronic bid opening or a proposal opening here at the board. But at this time, we're not seeing any emails coming from the software program that can host the electronic bids. So,
Well, Mr. Chairman, I don't like this. If we're going to be reading off numbers publicly at 9 and then having something come in electronically at 10 and accepting them,
No, they're
I
timestamped.
think that's making a mistake.
Aren't the emails timestamped though?
I would
when they're
think
sent?
so.
So it's not a matter of them coming back in, it's just if our firewall, spam firewall.
Yeah, well,
caught
as long as it would be timestamped, that would be,
Right.
somebody could.
okay. Let me log into the One Office program here, and we'll see if we can try to find an electronic bid here.
Also, if we didn't receive any electronic bids, that might be what's happening too.
They just didn't get it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Can I see if Lee can come up here? Why is that not coming up?
we'll open that up.
Trying. It's not in blue.
That's weird.
That's why I don't like doing this electronic stuff.
Oh, you know, I got your mouse over there. Should be able to- Oh, it's almost not on.
It was working earlier.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, we're on.
Move to the asbestos abatement.
That, or we could do, I guess, maybe the other parts of my agenda, if we want to run through those.
Yeah, I would like to move on here, I guess, so. What are we looking at?
Approval to advertise.
Yeah, item number 3.
That's fine.
Okay, we're going to advertise for County State Aid Highway number 6 grading project.
I would move that we advertise for project.
Okay, is that just for a quarter of a mile?
Exactly. It's about a couple thousand feet. It's down south of Rolog on our County Road 6 there. We're going to grade that this summer and then pave it next summer.
I am very appreciative of that, and I know that many people are, so thanks for getting that on.
Okay, we do have anything in our 5-year plan to go all the way to the county line, don't we, or is that?
No.
That's not on there yet?
My hope is to try to sneak that on there if I could somehow, being that we're going to pave half mile. It'd be nice to overlay the rest of the section too. But as of right now, we don't quite have that.
Okay, this is just for the few thousand feet there.
Yep,
Okay.
just for that half
Got a
mile.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, approval to advertise for 4 concrete box culvert projects that are on our 2016.
Yeah, we were kind of holding off on this because we wanted to put together a decent package. A couple weeks ago, we did get approval from MnDOT to fund our County Road 117 bridge replacement in the city of Glendon. So we've got 3 township bridges to replace and 1 county one that we're going to package together, or we'd like to. These are small wooden township bridges that we replace with concrete box culverts. So I'd like to get permission to advertise and then open bids on June 21st, same day as the County Road 6 project.
Move to approve the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Right-of-way easement to the Wild Rice Electric Cooperative.
Yeah, this is a easement from the Wild Rice so that they can run power into our new proposed landfill shop that we're looking at opening bids today. What this is, it gives them permission then to not only put the line in there, but if there's issues afterwards for maintenance, if there's a power outage or something, then they've got access to their electric line and going to keep us up and running. So the way the easement was described was it's the southeast 500 by 500, so it's pretty much the entire corner there where the building is. Initially, it was the entire parcel that the landfill has over there. We just described it so it would be just the parcel of the property. I thought it made a little bit more sense, but I think Eric has that form. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
I got a copy of it here.
So then the right of entry will just be the normal entry to the landfill?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep, that way if anything goes wrong with the power, they can come fix it without having to get permission, basically.
I'll move to approve the easement.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'm just curious if the land description is filled in before it gets signed, please.
Yep, we have that. right
Copy
here.
I have, it's not, so,
Yeah, if you want to take a look at that before we sign it.
thank you.
We were kind of battling through. Initially, when they sent it to us, there was no description, and then we talked to them a little bit, and they said they normally get an easement for the entire parcel, and we weren't really comfortable with that, so that's why we necked it down to the 500 by 500 in the southeast corner of that parcel.
Sounds good.
Okay, we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. That, also let her look at that
Yep.
before we...
Thank you.
So here's the easement.
Okay.
But I already disabled it yesterday, so it should. Oh, okay. Yeah, and we thought of that because it had kind of happened last year, so they were supposed to disable it, so it didn't get caught in the firewall.
Are we ready to move ahead with the bid opening for 95 now? Or we- Okay, excuse me.
If they are time-stamped, could we move forward with opening the paper bids? And for some reason, yeah, can't even open that link, so have some IT difficulties.
Man, you sent me a link to it. If you can get to my inbox, there should be. There you go. No?
It's landfill bids.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Joe, are you available? We'll move on to yours.
You don't have to move, just stay there. He'll come in.
Yeah.
Just stay here.
We have a quote for asbestos abatement for buyout properties. Maintenance Supervisor Joe Olson, and he gives a little presentation on that.
Yes, as you know, the county's purchased 16 properties to the north. Before it goes to the demo process, we need to do the asbestos abatement and also hazardous abatement. And right now I have a quote before you for 8 homes, 2 Marvel Systems at $15,945 and Horsley Specialties at $25,455. These are for 8 homes. There is an additional 4 homes that do not have any asbestos, and then there's 4 that are in waiting for a survey. So with that, I would request approval to go ahead with Marvel Systems for the price of $15,945 to take out the asbestos of the 8 homes. And then we're also requesting approval to go ahead and do the rest of them as a professional service. And if any of them come back as a bigger price, then we'll certainly come back to the board for approval of those.
Did you guys have an estimate as to what that may cost?
On the-
Or just not knowing?
Yeah, we kind of had just an overall demolition cost, which included all, so we'll have to see how that pans out, but we didn't break it down into early on.
I think the demolition costs are around $300,000.
Yeah. Well, the demolition of the
They'll-
jail is.
Oh,
300.
demolition, excuse me.
I think we might have had a little bit more than that in for all the homes. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the low quote.
Okay. Now, I understand you're saying that the other homes come available. That
Yeah.
would be part of this here? That
Yeah,
you would just go-
when the other homes become available, we get them tested, surveyed, and then we have the abatement done, and then they're ready for demo. So they're kind of coming in one by one right now, so our idea was to move along with them, and if the price did jump up high, then we would come to you guys with 2 quotes.
Very good. Okay.
And I would like that included in my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Second. Okay, we've got a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
We're done.
All right.
Thank you.
How are we doing now?
Well, we kind of got in there, but you got to get some keys that open up the bids. I'm just 100% sure if there is any electronic bids.
Yeah, I wish.
One thing that we did realize this morning is in our proposal for the highway electrical shop, we did advertise those as bid opening at 10 o'clock. So we were going to do that today too, but I don't know, maybe we could kind of do both of these at the end of the
You
day.
mean at 10 o'clock here?
We could kind of get our ducks in a row on this electronic bidding, find out if there is any electronic bids, if there isn't any. We've got 7 paper bids that we could open.
Which one, so the item 1 was advertised at 9 and item 2 was advertised at 10?
Correct. Yep.
Well, item 2 can't be opened until 10.
Correct.
Item 1 can be delayed a reasonable amount of time, so I think with the commission's approval, it could be continued till.
Mr. Chair, I would ask for the sake of time, if we could please postpone both items until 10 o'clock so that they can get everything squared away.
Okay, I guess we got people waiting, but I guess if we need to do that, we will delay it then. Sorry for the delay, folks, but technology, you know?
And I know we have a lot of bid openings that happen over the course of the year. I would just really hope that we could nail down whatever's going on so we don't have to experience it again.
Let's see, Nancy not around either.
Rhonda's here.
Pardon?
Rhonda's here.
Is Rhonda? Oh, Rhonda is here. Rhonda, well, let's take yours. We have consideration for a memorandum of understanding with Wilkin County for licensing activities under social services.
All right. I have Amy with me today. Amy is our supervisor for our licensing unit. I did not include anything in the board packet. I was just really looking for some discussion today and perhaps approval to move forward. I did send Jenny some information. But Wilkin County has a retirement that's happening at the end of May. And the retirement is a person that's done their licensing for a number of years as well as other duties. But licensing for child care homes, foster care homes, both child and adult foster care homes. They have been, they've approached our county asking if we would consider an agreement with them for our staff to do the homes in their county. You know, from time to time, we as counties have conversations like this. Particularly, we have around licensing because of the expertise that larger counties can develop with our staff, and smaller counties with turnover and things like that, it becomes more of a challenge for them. So Amy and I have been talking about it. I've been talking with Wilkin County. They have, the timing of this is not good. Initially, this retirement was supposed to happen in October, is when I was talking with Wilkin County about it. But, so it's happened sooner than anticipated, and of course the timing then makes it a little bit more of a challenge for us because over the last month and a half, you've approved some additional staffing resources for us, mainly in child protection, but one of those positions was to help out in our child foster care area. So we are working on bringing those staff on board, and of course that would help in terms of moving forward with this proposal. But for Wilkin County, they only have 4 family foster homes. So what they're looking for is for us to do the licensing activities for 19 daycare homes, 4 family foster homes, and then 5 adult foster care sites. In our county, we have 4 licensors right now, 1 family foster licensor, 2 daycare, and then 1 adult. So if we were to enter into this agreement, we would be, you know, spreading these duties out over those 4 staff. We have been working on some procedures and kind of a draft MOU. We talked about how would that be charged to Wilkin County. We have many counties operate off of what's called a Seeger rate, and it is a rate that considers all of the administrative costs on the social service side, and each quarter, it's reports that our auditors do, and it translates into what's called a Seeger rate, which is an hourly rate that costs us to provide 1 hour of a social service service. And for us, on average, it's coming out to $93 an hour. So many counties use that Seeger rate in situations like this when they want to do work between counties, or when we write grants and that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking that if we were to do an MOU, if the board would approve, we would look at an MOU starting June 1st through December at that $93 an hour rate. And that would give us some time to evaluate how it's working. Our licensors, in talking with them, of course, they do have some concerns about the arrangement. You know, we've got some pretty full plates already, so adding some of these would be, you know, some added activities. We think we can work through some of the concerns and, you know, give it an opportunity to see how it works. The revenue certainly would offset some of our added costs, but you know, over a few months we could evaluate the arrangement and make sure it's working for both counties, I guess.
Wayne, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you. If we would do this, would it be at our convenience? I mean,
Well,
instead of theirs?
The homes all have to be licensed. I mean, there's licensing requirements. So when a home's license is due, we'd have to plan to go at that time.
Now, by bringing this in front of us, Rhonda, you seem to think it could work. Is that correct?
Well, I think it could work. I think the timing isn't the greatest, you know, and I think we have some things to work through, but I would like to give it a try,
Okay.
I think.
Have you brought it to our county administrator?
We spoke briefly about it, and I shared with him that I would come before the board to talk about it.
Did he have an opinion?
He did not share one at that time,
Thank
no.
you very much.
Okay.
I don't know, Rhonda, you seem less than enthused about this.
Well,
It's, you know, and all these issues we've had coming from your operation right now, I don't know, it just seems to me it doesn't seem wise for us to take on more, you know, when we can barely struggling to deal with what we have ourselves, so.
yeah.
My opinion of this, I mean, I value your opinion, Rhonda. My question is, you said you have 4 licenses. If one of these licenses retired or resigned, you would come and say, hey, we need to replace this person because she's got a full plate.
Yes.
We need to replace this person.
Yes.
And now you're saying we can add some to it, though.
Yes.
And that's where I have a little, I mean, if you're going to have to convince me, I guess.
Yeah.
This guy.
I've seen you edge in there.
No, Ron, I know Rhonda enough to know that if there's a way that she can make it work, she'd like to make it work. That's just how Rhonda is. This reminds me too of a discussion with the same county early on when regarding the highway engineer. They lobbied us quite hard to have our engineer also handle some of their duties and responsibilities if it was approved by the state. I mean, again, I think we ultimately came to the conclusion, as Commissioner Wayland is bringing up, that, you know, our people have full responsibilities already, and, you know, unless you get into starting to add additional personnel to do it, then why don't they just do that themselves?
Yeah, I think the struggle smaller counties have, and I think, back 5 years ago or so when the governor was looking at these human service delivery systems, I think a lot of that conversation was surrounding the smaller counties who have a struggle kind of recruiting and retaining and keeping that expertise within their counties. So they were looking for some of the larger, medium-sized counties to offer that and work together when that works. And I think that's partly where my position is coming from. Obviously, wanting to take care of our own county first and foremost, and at the same time try to look at where we can help when we can. You are right, our staff's plates are full. That is true. I think that, when we get our staffing pattern up, and there are some maybe a little bit more creative ways we could meet the need than perhaps Wilkin County themselves. For example, we have, as you know, we had a long time daycare licensor retire about 1.5 years ago. Kathleen is her name, and we've brought her back for various kind of odd things to do in retirement to help us out. Those are some of the things with her expertise, with the revenue from that county. If we need to, we could draw her in, use that revenue to help do that. And it does kind of go to your comment, Commissioner Campbell, about, well, then why wouldn't they do that themselves? Part of the piece is that then that part-time or period or roster hour type position can lend on the support of our 4 licensors. They hone in that expertise together. They can share and cover. It's a little bit harder for smaller counties when they have leaves or, to do that. And that's why I think counties our size are looked on to offer some of that support.
It sounds like another problem that for the state that they want us to solve. So I think it's something the state should be dealing with rather than, expecting other counties to deal with these issues that.
Rhonda has brought this before. She thinks it could work, would like to give it a try. I will move consideration of the MOU as presented by Rhonda.
I'm going to second, but I have a comment.
Okay, we got a second on the motion, and go ahead.
When you said the timing's not right, the timing in the year's not right, or the timing in where we are social services wise?
Well, more staffing pattern. We originally, when I had talked with the director in Wilkin County, the retirement was anticipated for October. And we knew we were in the middle of getting our staffing pattern up. You had approved as a board hiring a social worker that was going to help out in our child foster care licensing, because we had talked a lot about our foster homes and needing to recruit and get some of those licensed. So we just did interviews for those positions last week and have made some offers. And so, October would be a better time for us to look at this, because we would have our, finally some full staffing patterns up together.
Mr. Chair, with that explanation, I'd like to withdraw my second.
Okay, we have a motion for the MOU. We have a second. Lacking a second, motion is denied.
Okay. Well, thank you for the conversation. I will talk with Wilkin County. Like I said, their retirement is at the end of May here.
Rhonda for a second. When you're done, I'd like a minute of your time regarding next week.
Okay. Could I?
Mr. Chairman, can I? Okay.
Excuse me.
Well, I was just going to ask, so it's not uncommon from time to time, let's just say an applicant applies for license here in our county. And if our county has a conflict, maybe it's, a relative to a licensor or something, we might ask another county to do that licensing activity. So what I'm wondering is, if there was some temporary help that Wilkin County needed in the interim to formulating a different plan, would the board be opposed, and this wouldn't require a formal MOU, well, maybe it would be just a one-page MOU, would the board be opposed to us looking at that for maybe 2 months to help very minimally if they needed that.
Can we do that?
We can do the courtesy type work. I know we've done it, we've done it, and we've been the recipient of it in the past. We do it kind of on a case-by-case basis. We covered a pretty big death investigation in a child care facility for Otter Tail County. Now, I kind of know they owe us, so next time we have one, I know who I'm going to call. Kind of that informal sharing, courtesy, case management kind of, well, it's not case management, but we can do it informally, but we should maybe put some terms on it so that we know what we're getting into and what we're agreeing to.
Mr. Chair, I would be open to a discussion on that. I think a temporary, short-term basis would be appropriate to have a discussion. My concern would be a long-term strain on our existing staffing pattern.
And Mr. Chairman, I have a question for you, Ron. You know, you mentioned you brought Kathleen back. What would be wrong with Wilkin County talking to Kathleen?
Yeah, they certainly could do that. In fact, I would suggest that they do that.
Because we don't, Kathleen has, I mean, we don't have any ropes around her saying she can't work for anybody else. I know we have other county employees that do other jobs besides their job with Clay County. So it seems to me that might be she might be the perfect one to help them move into.
Yeah, I know she is not available over the summer. That's
okay, so that's part of it? Okay.
Challenge. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, what she brought up about a temporary situation, does that need board action or just consensus?
I think just a consensus.
Okay.
Just to assist Wilkin County to get up and running with their operation.
Well, and maybe it would even be just consultation purposes where they're calling as they're trying to. Again, for example, some of the adult foster homes, our worker had done a check and none of them are even up for renewal till December, was it, Amy? So, you know, there's a lot of work. By that time, they would have somebody on board, you know, to manage those. So it would just be.
When it comes to these types of requests from other counties, and I'm glad Jenny withdrew her second on that. I have to say that because the problem is we hear time after time after time after time from you about how inundated your staffs already are with the work of Clay County. And I think back, it wasn't too long ago, Rhonda, where your services were requested by Becker County, just like Dave's were requested from the highway with Wilkin County. And in both instances, we sat and talked with our supervisors and came to the conclusion that's not the right thing to do.
Yes,
because we need to take care of Clay County first. That's our goal. And, you know, where we can collaborate, it's great. Where we can do things and counties can jointly do something that's fiscally a good thing to do, then you do it. But I just think we're adding more burden onto your staff, and I'm opposed to that.
Okay. Like I say, I think you've got a consensus for us, and we can move ahead.
No, I'm opposed to that, too. I mean, I don't agree. I don't, you know, if we were going to do anything, I think we should have a formal agreement, because in this, informally, I think you're just going to end up doing the work, and, you know, we're not going to bill them for it. So I don't support that either myself, so.
Well, do we want to make a...
Is that clear as
well?
Well, I would certainly, we would certainly establish, we would use the rate and bill them for that, like we would have if it was a longer-term MOU. That would have been my expectation.
I think if we're going to enter into an agreement and bill them, we need to have a motion from the board. If it's just going to be a consultation, You know, they call us when they have a question. I mean, we do that every day in every department. I'm always calling county attorney's offices. They're always calling me, you know. So, I mean, I think if we have a consensus, we could have that informal, we probably wouldn't even need a consensus to have that informal arrangement. But if we're gonna have anything formal, we really should have a motion and a majority vote of the board before we can start billing another county.
Well, and maybe what I could do is connect with Wilkin County today and talk with them, and perhaps they have something else that they could lean to right away. If they don't, then I could be clear on what it is they think they would need for a short term and come back to the board next Tuesday.
That would be perfect.
Okay.
Do we meet next Tuesday?
Thank you.
Next Tuesday? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Tim, we got something on resolution for flood damage reduction.
Yes, as you're aware, and we got a letter from FEMA to do some investigation on some properties relative to permitting for the structures on the site. One of them is the Cherokee properties. And if there's going to be any need to mitigate those and there's funding required, we need to find places for that, and the flood damage reduction program through the state of Minnesota is one of them. If we apply for money through them, it's a 50-50, I mean, or a dollar for dollar. For every dollar we get from them, we need to put a dollar in here. I've talked to the watershed district that we can partner with them, so we're down to, you know, for every dollar we're putting in a quarter. We don't have any figures as to what kind of money we might apply for, but this resolution doesn't ask for that. It just says, you know, that we're interested in the future applying for money. Probably the biggest question that it asks there is, where's the match going to come from? And it's in the resolution, it says it will come from us in the Buffalo Red Watershed District. So.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Jenny, have you had a chance to look at this and you have no?
I did. It's a very standard resolution that would qualify us for this funding. My question was, where does the match dollars come from? But that, you know, that's not really a legal thing. That's just more of a curiosity.
Right. Well, as it stands right now, the county and the watershed district are willing to put some money into it. We don't know how much. We're still looking for other.
You're talking about for the Tripke property, right?
Right. Yeah. We're still looking at other possible programs that we can get dollars from. So.
Excuse me. If we do this, would this didn't we have to do something in 30 days?
Yes. This doesn't necessarily satisfy that. We're still working on responding to the letter. In fact, Mr. Devine is going to be in town next week. We're going to sit down and talk about it. He's going to be up here with Seal Strauss from the Minnesota Department of DNR. They're going to be doing other things in the area, but they wanted to stop in and just talk about, you know, what direction we plan on going with this. So.
Because we do have to reply to that, though.
Right, and we're still working on our reply for that.
Okay. Excuse me.
I was just going to make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Discussion. Did you have something, Kevin?
No, I'm going to support the motion, but I just had a, maybe I asked, Tim, when we make a motion or when we apply for a grant of assistance like this, does the DNR have like a standing account where this isn't something that they have to try to send through a bonding bill or anything like that, is it?
No. Actually, when I talked to Pat Lynch from Minnesota DNR, he said they've got some old money that's still floating around.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
They are looking for money coming out of the bonding bill, if there is a bonding bill this spring.
Right.
They're looking for additional funding there. But there is some money from the past bonding bills.
So this wouldn't be subject to the
no
current bond? Okay, that's good.
Okay, we have a motion for the adopt the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Thank you very much. Can I pass on one other piece of information? I don't know how close you've been following the legislature, but they passed a bill last week, the governor signed it on Thursday, about granny pads. Have you heard that term? The official term is temporary health care facilities. They passed a statute now that counties and cities have to allow, well, we can opt out of it, but if we don't opt out of it, we have to allow temporary dwellings to be placed on people's property where a single individual that is either has psychiatric or other health issues can be taken care of by the family. It's going to be interesting because they shortened the time frame. We can't require a public hearing for anything as long as they can place this. It's a dwelling no more than 300 square feet. And it can't be there for more than a year, which is really interesting. But they've taken it out of the hands of going to the planning commission or even to the county boards or the city councils. If you allow residential uses there, you have to allow one of these dwellings in there if it meets the standards. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think there was any association. I know the county planning and zoning administrators had major issues with it because it takes everything, all the control away from the local jurisdiction. So we didn't support it, but governor signed it on Thursday, so curious to see where that one lands.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nancy, we might as well take yours too. We have an update on county abatement policy.
Morning.
I put together a little bit more detailed policy than we currently had. One of the main changes was changing it from a current to 2-year prior abatement. Our policy before had been current year and 1 year back, but state statutes say that a county may do current and 2 previous. So I have added that, and I've also just made a little bit more details in what a person could come and apply for an abatement for. Just more definition and situation, so it'll be easier for our taxpayers as well as staff to know if there's a request that could move forward with an abatement for their taxes. Another portion that was added was hardship. Department of Revenue requested that counties also include that if there are cases of those situations that do pop up. So, if you have any questions?
Mr. Chair, this doesn't need action. This is just an
To
update by
approve,
you.
yeah, just to approve this new policy as far as the new layout
So
and
moved.
verbiage. Second.
Any further discussion?
I just have one, I'm being the English major here, bottom of the first page, very last full sentence. Abatements will not be considered if social security numbers of the applicants are not provided. We'll change that. Thank you.
Okay, that with the amended word. Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nancy. Thank you, Nancy.
Kirk, you want to come up?
Holy moly. Timed that just perfect, huh?
Bring your group.
Brought a crew here today. Can never be too careful with you guys. She's got it.
Stuck there.
Got it, Kurt.
She's got it. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I brought some folks along with me. They basically have done all the heavy lifting. I think most of you know Steve Moore. Steve Moore is from the city of Moorhead. Public Works Director. We've worked very, very closely on most of the solid waste projects. It's been a really good, positive partnership, and it's worked out really well. And then on the other side is Stephanie Reynolds. And Stephanie's a roster employee, and she is the one that did an awful lot of the work here for the proposal that we gave the PCA. So I just want to have these guys recognize for all the hard work that they've done.
Also to recognize Stephanie just graduated last week, so congratulations on that.
She's a lot smarter this week than she was last week, so we're going to take advantage of it.
What's your degree in, if I might ask?
Sustainability with the emphasis in environmental science.
Okay.
She's really into worm.
Molecular physics like Jenny and I went in.
Right.
She's really into worm
Just kidding.
composting. She's into worm composting. I have a bunch of her dead worms in my basement here. Fortunately, she took the food waste away because the flies were starting to come.
I think Stephanie's well.
Can we get out of here?
Okay, I'm sorry. I know you're under a deadline here. Your time is very precious.
Just to, for the sake of information, I didn't identify what we are talking about. This is to accept $600,000 capital assistance grant from MPCA for design and engineering of the new transfer station and choline electronics recycling. Okay.
All right. Yeah, essentially, what this is that, just to back up a little bit, we, as you all remember, we received some funding from the legislature last year, $600,000 matching grant, and the purpose of that appropriation was to, for final design and engineering for the new transfer station, co-locate the household hazardous waste and the electronics in one place. And at that time, we were also talking about a MRF, a single-sort MRF, which is a material recovery facility. Since that time, we've had quite a bit of pushback from the agency and industry in the metro area, and we've just completed a phase 1 study for a single-sort facility, MRF, and we just finished that. But we also just received funding from the PCA on the $600,000 to move ahead with our transfer station, the cold relocation of the 2 facilities. One of the other things that has occurred is and maybe Steve can talk to this a little bit more, the city has also purchased a piece of property where this facility will be located, so we're moving ahead in that regard as well. So what I'm asking for today are basically 2 actions, as I understand. Brian, maybe you can help. The first action is just to accept the grant from the state, and then the second portion is to provide the $600,000 matching grant.
Okay.
So I don't know if these guys have anything else to say. Steve, you got anything else?
Just to thank the support from Clay County and the partnership with Clay County. It's been a long road, 2 years going, and we got a lot of work ahead of us, but the partnership makes it a lot easier, and we'll get this thing done hopefully in the next few years with continued construction support from the state.
Okay. Then the first thing I'm looking for is a motion to accept the $600,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we need motion to, for us to spend $600,000.
Mr. Chairman, before we do that, we have had, through the SWAC committee, we've had quite a bit of dialogue about this new facility, and as you know, in the past, the transfer station that's currently on Highway 10 is actually owned by the city, and we now, through SWAC and this process, have been trying to determine what the ownership should be of this new facility. And I'm assuming that we're still on track, that this would be, I think the proposal is that this would be constructed and owned by the county. It falls more in line with our total county solid waste program, and I think Moore is on board with that. There still obviously will be a cost share commitment that the citizens of Moorhead will help obviously pay for this transfer station. But it's the whole site deal along with the future MRF, which we're not giving up on by any means, is a good thing. So we got to just make sure that the 600,000 matching, we know how that's working in with our other budget.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioner, and we do have funding available in our reserves for the match. So that's exactly it.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, you can certainly make a motion to provide the 600,000 match. I think that's very appropriate. But also, solid waste will come back to the board for bid letting and approval to spend the money you're just approving to go along with the grant with the second motion. So it's still not, still aren't going to spend the 600.
This is, just so you understand, Mr. Chair and members of the board, this is something that the PCA is asking for. They want a commitment, if you will, that the county is still committed to the project.
Very good.
I'd move approval of the match.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where's Steve Blackman? Your kidney stones right now. Steve.
Oh, you got yours with you.
Steve,
Just got a kidney stone? Oh,
not, I thought you,
no. I had one a year ago.
kidney stone removes.
Never had one before.
Okay, we get a revenue and expense
Wait till it
update
has
from
here.
our county administrator, Mr. Berg, and Lori Johnson.
First Lady of Clay County.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. So nice to see you.
Yes, I know. You're just delighted to see me, aren't you?
I'm sure you have a good report to give.
Well, we do have a good report. We feel we promised to give you these on a periodic basis, and it has been 4 months now of the first year of 2016, and just to kind of, I guess, make you aware that the expenses track pretty true to form. We've gone through a third of the year. I put 33% up on top, and I know for Commissioner Campbell and for Lori, 33 isn't really a third. It should be in a 33.334.
We'll note the error.
We'll note the error. But they'll probably roll with this. So anyway, the important side we feel here is to track the expenditures. And as you can see, at 33% of the year, you can see the percentages that have been used with the individual departments. Now, I'll qualify that with sometimes you'll see a 34, a 35, maybe even a 40%, but you have to remember that memberships and things are paid out at the beginning of the year, and then they even out as the year goes. So the one that's maybe a little alarming is the court administrators, and we normally budget just an amount. We take a guess. We did increase it $5,000 for 2016 over 2015, and that's tracking at 73% of that has already been spent. So Lori did run a printout of that, and we have 3 court-appointed attorneys that the court pays a I don't even say a stipend, it's a $4,000 fee to on a monthly basis, but even at that only uses up $48,000 of it, of the $90,000 that we budgeted. But the court has really been heavily into the evaluations this year. I suppose there's psychological evaluations and mental evaluations and things, and they're $1,750 a pop, and that's about the only thing we can see that is really causing us to go up. So let's hope maybe they will slow down a little bit and it'll even off somewhat before the end of the year. And as you go down, you see everybody is pretty much tracking. You'll see 100% on some of the smaller appropriations, and that's because if they're a small amount and they request the entire year appropriations that you have put in your budget for that entity, Lori goes ahead and pays that out. And the bigger ones like the library and the Historical Society, we pay out that either quarterly or monthly. So that tracks pretty close. Now, there's one down there that I know has been asked about before, and it's under the Greater FM EDC, and we budgeted $100,000 for them, and you'll see a line item of $490,000. That's $500,000. That sounds like a lot of money, but that's where Lori has put in the $389,600 to be exact, for the abatements, for the home buyout abatements. That's where she put that in there. So, don't necessarily be alarmed by that, but she had to account for that in the budget somewhere. And probably on the second page, I'll just bring to your attention, highway really, their big time is in the summertime, where they spend their maintenance dollars and their gravel dollars and their construction dollars. You'll see highway maintenance is running a little bit ahead, but I visited with Dave about that. And of course, he did go to that conference out of state, and their administrative budget is fairly small. Plus, they do pay their annual memberships and things at the first of the year. So that will level out. So we, and then you'll see the 96% under the unallocated, and of course, that is their bond payment of just over $2 million, 2.2 something million dollars. And again, clarifying with Lori, the amount that is left, that $86,000 is for interest payment at the end of the year. So that is right on tracking as well. So I guess it's certainly, I guess we're here to assure you that things are pretty much running on track. And frankly, I guess you'll see sometimes you have to look in the revenue side too. If you see a higher amount expended, maybe it's a grant that's come in or something. The one that's really tracking high is under the auditor's office, and I'm assuming that there was a payment that came in. Or
that's the
or
state deed and mortgage registration taxes that come in, and then we give to the state. So at the end of the month, it's in there, but then we pay it out right away at the beginning of the month, except for the portion that we get to keep.
Mr. Chairman, I would be a little bit more concerned about those numbers falling below the 34% than being, or the 33% than being above, because I just want to make, that means they're not coming in at, as long as we're sure the revenues will be coming.
Oh,
but they usually
lag.
You know, unlike the expenses you look at, and if you're over your expenses, that's not a good thing, and then, but if your revenues are falling short,
that's not a good thing
either. And that's the problem. Most of ours are falling, but I'm assuming that's just in the billing cycles, right?
That's
right. Revenues generally lag a little bit.
Right, right, okay. So can I just suggest, if we're going to, on that, where you put that 390 in with the greater FM EDC, can we just expand that description, just maybe put like a...
And abatements?
Yeah.
Okay.
An abatement program, or just do a dash abatement program, so that it just helps clarify that it's not just one thing, that's all.
You know, I say, I'm sure we can, and I look at Lori and almost bow down for permission. I have to do that with Vicki, I have to do it with Lori.
I can see why your job is so tough.
It's tough.
It's tough.
I knew Lori could do it.
At least he's got it straight.
I know she doesn't bow to us, but
maybe not to you.
Any questions that you have, folks?
No, I mean, I look at this thing, and if you go down the bottom figure, we're looking at 28%, you know, which shows good. I mean, a lot of times we question when it's over. When it says 73%, we question. When it says 2% or 5%, we don't question, you know, and it's just, we think that's all okay, we don't have to look at that, you know, but are we budgeting wrong there, you know? But I realize that this stuff, it all depends when you pay it and stuff like that.
Yes, it does.
So.
But it's a good tracking device anyway.
Yes, it is. Thank you for the update, too. Is there any further questions? All right.
Thank you, folks.
We are getting close to 10 o'clock. Dave, are we ready to go?
You're ready.
Very good.
Is it going to shut down in this minute?
Nancy Henderson deal with that.
We approved it. We approved it.
I mean, you can restart it right now.
I can change that.
Pull it up on
2 years.
Just exactly what it said.
All right, round 2.
Okay, we got it now.
Good.
So what we would like to do is we'd open up the 7 paper bidders that we have. There was actually 3 electronic bidders. One of the bids on the electronic was an incomplete bid, but he did provide a paper one. So I think maybe they run into some issues. It was Haug Incorporated from Detroit Lakes. So we've got 2 electronic bidders. Eric will verify the bid bond and the package and then read the numbers once we do the other one. So.
All right.
Okay, the first one we're going to do is County Road 95.
Right on.
Very good. Let's
And
go.
just for your purpose and for the public that's watching us online, we do have an engineer's estimate on this project. It's a 5-mile grading job on County Road 95. The estimate we put together is $1,780,787.25. It's an awful lot of money.
We need an explanation on the 25 cents. Cool.
You wanted to get a gumball.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the first one, they got a big bond in there. Okay. Our first bidder is Celine Brothers from Hawley, Minnesota. And grand total, it looks like they do have the bid bond amount of 5%. There was no addendums on this one, is that correct? So no addendums. All right, grand total, $1,408,939.30. $1,408,939.30. Our next bidder is Central Specialties from Alexandria. They've got a bid bond amount of 5% here. Grand total bid, $1,635,615.67. $1,635,615.67.
We have bid on H&S.
All right, H&S Contracting from Moorhead, Minnesota. He's got a bid bond here in the amount of 5%. Grand total bid, $1,140,716.62. $1,140,716.62. Wow, that was. All right, our next bidder is R.J. Zavril and Sons from Grand Forks. We got a bid bond, 5%. And their bid, $1,295,758.25. $1,295,758.25. Okay, our next bidder is Dennis Drews Incorporated from Frazee. Got a bid bond here, 5%. Grand total bid, $1,037,947.70. $1,037,947.70. Next bidder is Haug Incorporated from Detroit Lakes. He's got a bid bond of 5%. Grand total bid is $1,945,950.90. $1,945,950.90. Okay, our last paper bidder is Knife River Materials from Bemidji. They've got a bid bond here, 5%. Grand total bid, $1,475,690.40. $1,475,690.40. We've got two remaining bidders.
Yep, so we have two remaining online bidders, and,
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Were they in on time as far as the?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, the first bidder is Gladen, and their bid was received at 8:47 a.m. And the bid bond is here, and the price is $1,381,381.32. That's $1,381,381.32. The second online bid came in from Midwest. Their bid was approved at 8:02 a.m. Bid bond is present, and their price is $1,468,589.35. That is $1,468,589.35.
Those numbers were extremely good. I'd heard that there was a lot of interest with their work. What we'd like to do, I guess if the board would be wished, we'd like to contingently approve it today based on no errors or irregular bids or anything like that. The low bidder was, I believe, Dennis Drews and Sons.
Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to approve the low bidder on this project.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion contingent on further review, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Dennis Drews.
The next bid opening we have, we did get 3 bidders. Oh, yep.
Thank you.
This is for the joint landfill highway shop to be placed out at the landfill. The way we did this is kind of a design build, kind of a specifications. There's 3 or 4 different criteria there that we have add together for a grand total bid. I think there's the building, I think there's electrical, mechanical, there's a couple different items that are all combined together for a grand total bid. We've got 3 bidders here, and from my discussions with the builders, I believe 2 of the bids will be a complete package, and one of the bidders is from the Spring Prairie Colony. I believe he might be bidding in the concrete shell only. So I thought what we'd like to do is bring it back and analyze the bids based on some criteria that was developed by Eric and I, some scheduling, you know, the reputability, the type of construction, and the cost, and then if things go as planned, we'd like to bring back a recommendation in a week after we have time to analyze. Being this design build, not everything is exactly the same, so it's going to be a little different, and then we'll work with the highway committee as well, trying to put together what's best for the county based on the bids.
What's your estimate?
We've been kind of going with 1.4 million.
Thank you.
Jenny?
How was it advertised? Was it advertised that today they would know for sure, or was it advertised that there was a week of time for us to make our decision?
I don't know that we put that in there, to be honest. We were just opening bids today. On projects like this, it's in the past, we have typically brought back on real straightforward projects like the County 95, that those are typically always contingently approved based on errors, but I think on even the Barnesville project, I believe we brought that back.
Yeah.
And the advertisement did say that.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll review it and come to the board with a recommendation.
Thank you.
Brian?
Plus, Mr. Chair, most of the times bids are submitted, and they will even say in their proposal that this bid is valid for 60 days.
Correct.
It's up to the board to approve when they want to, but you usually want to approve it within that time frame that the bid is valid for, is basically the only time restraint.
Okay, let's look what we got.
Okay. First bidder that we're going to take a look at here is Gas Construction from Fargo, North Dakota. They do have bid bond here in the amount of 5%. So they had we have 3 different parts to this. We have a general, electrical, and then mechanical / plumbing. The total of all 3 items for Gas Construction is $1,307,500. $1,307,500. Okay, we've got a treasurer's check here for the bid bond in the amount of $59,000. Combined base bid.
Who's it from?
Sorry, this is for Foltz. This is for Foltz Buildings from Detroit Lakes. Sorry about that. Fultz, like I said, did have a check here, a bid bond check, and their total base bid is $1,179,878.00. $1,179,878.00. Had that extra period in there that kind of threw me off a little bit. Instead of a comma. I want to read it wrong. And this next and last bidder is from Spring Prairie Colony. Like I said, they do have what looks like bid bond here, amount of 5% from Merchants Bonding Company. They are providing general only, no plumbing, no electrical. I talked to them a little bit and I said that if they wanted to do that, it would at least give us an idea, being that these concrete panels are produced locally right in Clay County. We'd have a good feel for it. I don't exactly, we're gonna have to analyze this a little bit and take a look, but their bid for the general only is $782,620. $782,620. It's a little tricky. We're going to have to figure out what it would cost if it makes sense for the county. Obviously, we're going to have to work with Jenny a little bit to see how to move forward on it, but I was interested in kind of getting a feel for what the options might be to utilize the concrete panels only. There's and like I said, I don't know for sure if that includes the slab. I mean, we've got a plan for heated slab in this entirety. So
You'll get back to us.
we will. We'll analyze this in scrutiny and bring it back. I thought the bids, the two bids that we got were both underneath what our estimates were, so it looks positive.
Mr. Chair, did we have a motion on the first one?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. And this one you'll be bringing back to us for
Correct, yeah.
no motion
If
today.
all things go well in a week, Eric and I are going to be at meetings the next 2 days, so if we don't get a good feel for it by next Tuesday, maybe it would be the following Tuesday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to committee reports. Jenny?
Thank you. Last week, I attended the Cass Clay Food Systems Advisory Committee, where we had a new member to the board membership, Stephanie Reynolds from our Solid Waste Department. She's going to be a great advocate when it comes to sustainability. We had a presentation from the extension on season extension, hoop houses, and just a reminder to this board, what we're doing is we're going through and making blueprints that will serve as a guidance to different jurisdictions as they determine how they want to shape their ordinances. I also had the land management meeting for the Diversion Authority, where we talked about a property acquisition, and then had a discussion in regards to flowage easements. I'd pushed to have that discussion sooner rather than later, to talk about how we will compensate those 50,000 acres that will be affected for retention areas. It is the belief of the Diversion Authority that those easements do not need to be in place until, I think, 2024, when the project will be operational. But if it happens, they may get those easements sooner. One point of discussion that kind of came up that was a different information to me is I had asked about crop insurance and how crop insurance would play into the flowage easements, and I was always under the assumption that there would be two separate payments. The discussion that came out would be that it would be one payment, kind of a lump sum one-time payment, and I don't prefer that, but I know that there are boards that are continuing to discuss that. And that was all for that meeting. The next meeting I had was the cemetery mitigation meeting, was the first official meeting of the Diversion Authority for that. We talked about local membership and an overview of what we may or may not want to cover. The timeline on this, again, is pushed farther and farther down the road, but Commissioner Sherling from Cass County and I both agree that the sooner we can get involved parties to the table on this, the sooner we can mitigate any effects. I also recommended that upstream caretaker from North Dakota and an upstream caretaker from Clay County be on that board to discuss how we will mitigate those and what their suggestions are. Because it's not an official, it's kind of like the Ag Committee, we can involve people that aren't elected. Part of the problem is, not problem, but we want them all to come collectively to the table, but each cemetery has their own challenges and differences, and it's definitely a gut-wrenching situation that we're faced with, so the discussion will continue. I had the Soil and Water Conservation meeting also last week, where Brent Arney from Detroit Lakes gave an update on the buffer strip initiative. They're continuing to come up with dialogue as to how that will affect different counties, and we have lots of meetings on this, and the dialogue doesn't really change. There's still lots and lots of questions, but they're starting to clarify a little bit, I should say. One big thing that's happening in the discussion, actually between watershed meetings that I've been at and this, is the excessive soil loss that we're experiencing because it was a dry year. Last fall, it's been a dry spring. If you've taken a drive in the country lately before they've had a chance to seed these fields, they're blowing very badly. So they're discussing ways to help encourage landowners to mitigate that issue as well. And they are also spearheading some urban conservation clinics with rain barrel workshops and compost tumblers and rain gardens. And they've had a lot of correspondence with Fargo, and they're doing clinics throughout our community, and that's been a very popular thing. That concludes my reports.
Along with the EMS you were at yesterday.
Yes, we also, thank you for reminding me, the Joint Powers had their press conference for the Wear Red to support EMS and fire on Friday. So thank you for everyone that came.
So I had down in my calendar this morning, press conference, 10 o'clock, EMS appreciation.
It was yesterday.
Oh. I had it for today.
Grant.
Well, let's see, I had be on the Yellow Ribbon meeting last week and a Greater Fargo Ward EDC Executive Committee meeting, both general business and reports from staff. I had a radio board meeting in Thief River Falls, and that was interesting meeting. We're at the point where we're transitioning to this armor system in Minnesota, and we're at the point where we're seeking the funds now from for the migration grant from the state, and we're hoping that the grant will be approximately $300,000, and that will pay for new consoles and things at the communications center. And there was a lot of debate on whether we should have 5 or 6 paid for through the grant, and the board there supported our position on going after 6. And so hopefully that'll work out. The state boards that make the decision will be meeting sometime in the near future, and Jack Swanson from Roseau County, one of the commissioners, he serves on that radio board with me, and he's the president of the AMC this year, and he also is on the committee that makes the decisions on this, and he was supportive of our position, so hopefully that'll be helpful as that moves forward. Last night, I think Frank already talked about that a little bit, but we were at the Morehead City Council to give a presentation on the jail and the law enforcement center project, and I thought that was very positive. I think they're very supportive, and we asked for some commitment from them in the very near future, and it sounds like they're going to take their first steps for that next week, so it's good.
Thank you. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On Tuesday, May 10th, Campus Improvement Committee, the central points of the meeting pertain to the Family Service Center regarding security issues paving and repair issues, and future capital improvement areas. Some items of this will be forthcoming to the county board. Commissioner Gross and our county administrator were also at that meeting and might have something to add. Thursday, May 12th, for Lake Agassiz Regional Library, the Northern Lights Library Network Executive Meeting, discussion of budget, volunteer boards, and general business of the multi-type library board, which consists of 23 counties in western and northwestern Minnesota. A report.
Kevin. Okay, last Tuesday after our board meeting that evening, they had a 6-entity diversion update on the joint powers agreement and the JPA. I attended that. I understand we're having that on our agenda next week, and we are in the very near final version. I do want to say that the drafting of that document included 2 members of the Morehead City Council, Mike Hewlett and Mary Daly, and then John Shockley. And I have to say this document is very well written, and it's very favorable to the concerns of Minnesota. We got an extra 2 voting members. Our financial obligations are very clear within the document, and I'm really impressed with the final, what is near final anyway, version of that. We'll have John Shockley will be here next Tuesday morning to go over it with us. Then on Wednesday, we did have a diversion public outreach meeting, and basically just that goes over all the different communities and different public meetings we've had with groups, including the business community. There's no earth-shattering things came out of that. That afternoon, and then I also met with Kirk with our solid waste and Wenk Associates, and we just started talking about some future projects that are coming up, and talked a little bit about their past performances, and we'll see how that goes moving forward. And on Thursday, we had a diversion authority meeting, and again, most of it had to do with the discussions regarding the PPA and the joint powers agreement coming up, and we did authorize, the vote was taken to approve that draft to send to the other entities. As you heard, the EIS was released yesterday, which was good to see that finally being done. Then on Friday, I attended the Prairie Lakes Budget Committee meeting that I had called for. And we continue to have issues there. And our current budget is still, our revenues are falling way short again. There's going to be some more dialogue on that. We have some commissioners who believe that's going to turn around by the end of the year. I don't know that I'm quite as optimistic. But I talked about a way that we can be assured that each entity, if each entity that has they basically have a committed tonnage annually that they do. But interestingly enough, in the contract, if they don't submit it, that they don't pay the additional revenue. So, I'm going to be talking with the board about, for example, Clay County has a commitment of 9,400 tons, but the first 6,000 of ours we don't pay anything on because that was the trade for what they bring into us. So but that 3,400 tons we pay at the tipping rate fee of $94.50. So that's $300 and some thousand. But if we only send them 1,000 of that 3,400, then that's all they bill us for. And so nobody's getting the garbage there. And so the revenues are short. So then we end up having to have these calls, premium calls like we just had, and so I'm gonna be promoting really hard that everybody needs to pay your committed tonnage, whether you send it there or not. If you want, otherwise, we're gonna just be having cash calls. It's gonna happen every year. So we gotta fix this, and believe me, I'm gonna be on it. But we're gonna get there. It's, hopefully the issues with the facility are gonna turn around, and we won't have all those extra costs. The arbitration did end too on the issue. It went for 4 days, 4 solid days of arbitration, and so we should be hearing soon. Yesterday, we had our jail construction meeting, and you've heard enough about that today with the presentation today. And then last night, I too think that our meeting went well with the Morehead City Council. I was glad they allowed us the opportunity to be there to talk about our projects. And I do believe that we're going to get good support from them on not only on the Joint Law Enforcement Center, but on the jail itself as well. That's all I have.
Okay, Tuesday, as Wayne says, we had the building committee. Some of the items we were discussing over in the family service centers, that front awning, we had, I don't know, about 6 months a year ago, we had decided to remove that front awning. And now we've taken another look at it, and we're sort of looking at keeping it again. So that would really just probably clean it up a little bit and paint it again. And there was a cost of $24,000 to remove it, so that would save us some money there, but we do have to spend some money to clean it up. We are looking at removing some of the concrete over there. There's quite a few heaves in some of the concrete. We're looking at that. We were going to look at repaving over there, but along with the law enforcement center and the correctional facility, with all the paving that's going to go on here, we're probably going to hold off on that for a while too and make that all one project. And we're also looking at installing some security cameras. So we covered there. Wednesday morning, I went to the Wild Res Watershed board meeting up at Ada. There's an interesting thing there on Tony Nelson, the Soil and Water Conservation District, Spoken Pheasants Forever. There's a program where if farmers or landowners, I shouldn't say farmers, landowners, allow people to hunt on their land, they get paid from the state $1 an acre, so or $10 an acre and all that. If the second year if they're in, they're $11 an acre. Every year they go in, they get more. And now all the land that's owned by, not all the land, but the land that's owned by the Soil and Water Conservation District, they find out that's eligible too. It's owned by the government, so it's owned by the government, but the government's going to pay themselves for letting people hunt on there. So I thought that was an interesting situation, but evidently Clay Conner will be involved with that too, because he was just presenting that program to Wild Rice. Other than that, there was just the routine permits and stuff up there. Other than that, I had a meeting with Brian on Monday. EMS presentation, or Morehead City Council last night, which we talked about. And again, I want to thank, we have these committees, we have our responsibilities, and I really want to thank Grant and Kevin for what you've done at this jail or correctional facility. It has really come along good, and I think it's a great job that you guys are doing, and thank you very much for that. And along with Brian, you're involved in that too.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I add one thing to my report? And when you mentioned the watershed district, it reminded me, regarding this, going back to this JPA, many of you have, like myself, I'm sure, had received many emails regarding why we should not support the JPA. The supposedly that we would be conflicting with Minnesota. I hope you all happened to recently receive the response that was drafted from the, based in answer to the questions by the Wilkin Richland JPA that submitted those things, those questions, you know, basically as to why none of these entities should pass that. And I think there was a very, very, very thorough and good answer to each and every one of their allegations. That was done. Hopefully you had the chance to read that, and I don't know if we just wanted to give Jenny a minute to get her thoughts on it. I know she reviewed it.
Well, yeah, I had forwarded it out to everybody, so if you don't remember receiving it, or if you'd like a hard copy, please let me know. But John Shockley and Tammy Norgard really took the lead on that response and did a very good job in responding to each allegation in turn. I've reviewed it. I think all the responses are legally sound. I think, you know, initially reading it, I had some gut reactions and what, you know, what I believed to be the legal response, and those all panned out and are supported very well in that letter by the law and the citations and so forth. So yeah, if you had questions, or if you had constituents that had questions regarding those allegations, that's a really nice summary document to be able to look back on and provide the legal analysis or the support that exists for each one of those concerns.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, Brian, were you gone last week? Oh, your report. You were here, okay.
Mr. Chair, I didn't think you were done with yours, so it was so short.
Too short.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can't get ahead of him.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The campus building committee met, and I think Commissioner Ingersoll and Gross have both covered that very well. I think we had some real positive adjustments to our direction that we're going. Met with Joe and the fire chief, referenced some training in the housing and how that sequentially can go. They need the inspections and the abatement, any asbestos and things removed before they do their training. Within those, they start small fires and different things, and they'll do the notification. We said that the board would be very concerned about not stirring anything up there, and they'll coordinate with law enforcement on their training needs. So there's more uses to those houses. In fact, that has really drawn some interest statewide from a training standpoint, because it's not so easy to find structures that they can, you know, start minor fires in from different rooms and different chemicals and things, and then train with. So it's very helpful to do that. It's nice of you to allow them to do that. I too attended the diversion land management, and frankly, I guess I do. Commissioner Mojo expressed the concern at the land management meeting, and as I did, in regards to the easement, Floyd's easements for the property. And if that is a one-time payment, you know, what happens 100 years, 50 years, 150 years from now in regards to damage to the soil and insuring them and things. So I guess I was under the impression that the insurance was going to be a separate issue. That's what the study was done for with NDSU, and there's more work that needs to be done. I don't think that's concluded yet, and it kind of made it sound like it was, and it was going to be all contained in the flow easement, but I think there needs to be some more work, and I think there will be more work done in regards to that. So that's very positive. I also attended the Chamber of Commerce Public Affairs Committee, and the diversion was the topic of that week. Rocky Schneider and Darrell Vanyu, who chairs the Diversion Authority, presented at that meeting, did a good job of talking about, I'll say, the issues. We had about an hour-and-a-half conference call with the architects and the construction manager, and on some changes and different things that we were going through, and the movement of traffic on the campus. We talked about that on there and things too. So that was very good, I think. I attended that on Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock, that 6-entity diversion meeting to talk about the JPA, and as Commissioner Campbell said, that will be on the agenda for your consideration next Tuesday. And I know we were kind of waiting to schedule that for the final draft, as it's called, of the EIS, which was published yesterday, Monday. And you know, I think it clearly states in there that this is not a granting document. This is only for review, and they brought up some questions in it and things, and there's always going to be those questions. Is there a better way? That is always going to be the question. From 100 years from now, they'll say, was there a better way? We don't know that. So I don't, in my view of what I saw and what I've heard is that that's moving forward. Now they'll take additional comments, because this was the final draft until the 31st of this month. But I don't know that that should slow you folks down in taking action next week, I guess is what I'm saying. You'll have to make your decision on that. I did attend the Diversion Authority meeting. Commissioner Campbell kind of highlighted the issues there on it. I did attend the law enforcement Memorial Day ceremony at Lindenwood Park at noon last Friday. That was very, very nice this year. I think it was probably maybe special emphasis this year on it. The crowd was bigger, and they just did a very nice job. I attended that press conference yesterday at 10 o'clock and met with Chairman Gross. Right after that, we had some scheduled at the same time. That worked out. We had the correctional and LEC construction meeting yesterday afternoon. Enough's been said about that. You've been well versed on that. We held a kind of a pre-Moorhead meeting yesterday at 4 o'clock to make sure everything was a go. Commissioner Campbell, as chair of that committee, kind of asked for that and coordinated that function, and I think it went very well. We didn't overuse our time, and I think we used our time wisely in there, so that was good. Attended the Moorhead meeting at 5:30. Commissioner Mojo has gone for the day, but she had brought up an issue to me that I put on my items here for discussion with you folks today. She has suggested that we hold maybe a meeting. She said we do a lot with Moorhead and the many different meetings in the city council and things, and that, you know, and I think the timing is probably right for looking at the correctional facility and law enforcement facility, that maybe we coordinate a meeting with the other elected officials within the county, the incorporated cities, and we met with the townships, which are the elected officials, and then you have, of course, your incorporated cities and non-incorporated cities for that matter. But she was kind of thinking that it might be wise if we were to coordinate a meeting with the rest of them maybe for this summer sometime. So I guess I said I would bring it up at this meeting for some feedback from you folks if we want to pursue that. Vicki and I'll coordinate something on that if...
Mr. Chairman, I brought that up last night. That question was even, if you recall, that question was raised by, I think it was Councilwoman Otto.
Yes.
Asked what other outreach we're doing, and I said that it was that we were going to have to go to every other municipality and talk to them.
Yeah.
I don't know what Commissioner Moat, is she looking at having joint board meetings together with these others, or just a presentation to them?
I think just
similar to what we did last night?
I would think just more of a conversation, not necessarily a presentation, but I think, isn't she talking about the mayors, the city councils, even township officers?
Well, yeah.
Or not that?
I think that would be separate, Commissioner.
But the mayors, the city council,
all
together?
Yeah,
Like county,
kind of.
just in a room
And maybe we'd have to have two of them or something, just for discussion purposes.
I don't know. I guess I thought maybe it might be even worth our time to be on each of their agendas and to give an update, just like we did with the Moorhead Council last night.
Well, maybe, Brian, you can contact them and
Whatever.
see what they are interested in, and we can accommodate whatever they want, so.
Yeah, and I don't think Commissioner Mojo was necessarily talking just the jail topic. When she talked to me about this a week ago or so, it was kind of in general terms. You know, we have the Joint Powers Committee that is a lot of this immediate area. We then have the meeting, structural meeting that we have with the school board and the Moorhead and us. And she just kind of was thinking that we don't outreach enough on just kind of all of the topics, and she just thought it would be a good idea to get
I think she also meant to include the school districts, the school, or not?
Yeah, she didn't say
The
that.
elected officials and school boards?
Yeah. That's not a bad idea either, because they have building projects and different things. So we can talk more about that, but I guess that's why we wanted to have some dialogue today to see.
Let's hear what she has to say next week.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's something that I discussed with you earlier this year, that
Yep.
I want to get out to the people, you know, either hold our meetings out there. I don't know if we can do that or not.
Yeah, you
but
can't do that.
I can't do that. I mean, but I think we need to inform the county more what's going on here. I mean, I realize we have it on TV and stuff like that, and that's, but sometimes just getting out there, meeting the people is a good thing, you know. And I like this idea, whether, you know, getting the, probably they come in, and even like Hall, they come in one day, Barnes will come in one meeting, and we can probably discuss some stuff, or go to them. I think, either way, I think the dialogue is good. I like the idea, and it's very good.
And Commissioner Gross did talk to me about holding meetings out in the county early on in the year, and I know Jenny and I really haven't talked about that, but we did research that with the county attorney's office over in Becker County, because that was the same idea. And frankly, the law requires you to hold your official meetings within the county seat, and I'll just give you a little common sense approach for that. If you were to hold an official meeting and take action, and then you held it for Felton or somebody, and somebody said, well, I wanted to be at that meeting because I had an issue, and now you're moving the meetings around so I can't attend. I think that's why the law makes sense that you hold it in your county seat, and you even have
I think we need to be careful here, though, about how many topics we're talking about at one time. I think, you know, certainly the jail and law enforcement center is huge right now. And it's going to have an impact to the entire county because of the referendum that we're talking about. And I really think that the best approach to that, in my opinion, would be for us to give the city of Barnesville an update to their council, just like we did to the Moorhead City Council, and we should do the same with Dilworth, and we should do the same with Hawley and any other council, Sabin or whatever. If we really want to get our plan out to the entire county, that's the way we should do it. If we invite them here, you're basically going to get them and the same audience that we have watching our county board meetings, but some of those cases, those people might not even have access. In some parts of our county might not even have access to watching our county board meetings.
I'll have to look at, you know, the next opportunity that Clyde McCarthy's in town, probably should coordinate that. I mean, we're going to give a presentation on the correctional facility.
Right. Well, they have to be part of it.
They do a good job on that, you know, and I mean, we do have a meeting with the cities, you know, they could be part of that or something.
Okay.
Well, I think those are all good ideas, but I think that's a little different from what Jenny had in mind.
I have no idea what Jenny had in mind. Does she want to talk about update the county on the jail, or?
No, I don't think that was her main issue. But
No, and Mr. Chair, if I may, I think, I can't say specifically, but I think what she was just saying, we should reach out to the other entities more often. Just what Commissioner Gross had said earlier on. And I think you all, I think they're all are very good points. I think specifically right now we do have target audience. And I think there's real merit in what Commissioner Campbell is saying, because if we do go out and present at those particular council meetings, they're going to put it on their agenda, so then the people that do come to their regular meetings can hear it. I think that's what you're talking about. And so I think they are kind of two different things to some degree. But I think both ideas are really good to pursue.
I guess one other additional meeting I had was last Tuesday night. I went to Ewell City Council meeting, and And they have a big issue up there on the reevaluation of how fertilizer containers are being assessed now. And it's going to affect Ullin by over $2 million. It's a very big concern. I've been working with Representative Margaret on that, see if we can get a better description of how that should be analyzed, and because it's really going to affect the city of Ullin. I mean, there's some other communities going to be affected too, but city of Ullin is one of the bigger ones with over $2 million that they would have to spread out over the rest of the people, you know, if that taxation thing is taken off that fertilizer there.
Yeah.
So.
And again, you said you're talking with, Commissioner Gross, you're talking with Representative Marquardt, because this has been a state change in, Nancy and I talked about this. In fact, maybe you were started the conversation here 2-3 months ago in regards to the change in the valuations. It's a change in the valuations of how they want to look at the value of these fertilizer containments, and yes, that'll be, if that goes through, it would be, have to spread their valuations over their taxpayers, and it'd be a huge increase within the city.
Yes, it would. Yeah. Okay. Vicki, is there anything Brian has to do this week? Okay, we're covered then. We're adjourned.